get everything.
Yeah, you get everything.
Even when you're a heathen, like I went to school with an African, they came up here and got a $10,000 loan out back. They get these heathens money. They bring Jake over here.
Loan, that was his grant.
Yeah, that was like slide. Yeah, it was a grant. They actually give them grants. They give them grants for startup businesses. You know what I'm saying? Our people come over here. Your people call it illegal. Try to come over here. Our people looked at as niggas, man. We on the bottom, man. I'll say everybody.
Right. It says, but if I mind if I say something? The way that the brothers are speaking about it is beautiful because it is bad, but the beautiful thing is that shows you that you are part of that sign. So that's beautiful. If your spirit attaches to what the trouble and the pain is this brother's talking about, then you are more than likely one of the Most High's chosen.
You gotta have faith.
And with that said, that means that you might have a chance to be saved in the end.
Yep.
So that's a beautiful thing.
That's right.
That's right, brother.
It says, for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments.
Right, and subject to payments, man. So we're still in captivity. We're still in hell to this day. Because everyone, hey, if you have a job, they're taking taxes out your check. They take it out for Social Security, all type of things. Man, you paying for food and water. The scripture say that we had to go to him and our enemies for want of all things, according to Deuteronomy 28 chapter. Actually, give me that real quick. Deuteronomy 28. 48.
It's in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemy which the Lord has sinned against thee.
Right, we're going to have to serve our enemy who the Lord, the Most High, sent him against us.
Where is that
Right now, we're under the so-called, now we're under the rulership of the so-called white man, okay, who is Esau according to the Bible. He has a biblical nationality. He's not white. White represents purity. He's red. That's why they're called the Edomites. That word means red, Adawam. It means red because their blood shows forth through their skin.
They always red.
Yeah, so when you slap shit out of them, they turn red. They get embarrassed, they turn red. When it's cold, they turn red. They get mad, they turn red. Okay, that's why they're called Esau.
And then they like their meat bloody.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. He was the firstborn son, and he gave up his birthright for a morsel of bloody meat. You know? Go ahead, bro.
In hunger and in thirst and in nakedness.
In hunger and thirst and nakedness, man. You have to pay. They bottle up water. You have to buy that shit, man. And it's not even pure water. You're supposed to be able just to have a well or have land, or when you want to have something to eat, you have cattle. You go out there and slaughter the perfect way, cook it. Okay, you're not supposed to be going to the devil for all things, man. You're supposed to have land and you have your own house. We gotta pay rent. And you have what's called a lease. So that word lease means lie. You live there like you own it, but you don't own that shit. Even when you buy a house, okay? You gotta pay property tax. If you don't keep them taxes up, you get kicked out that house, or even if the house is paid off. They go to my grandmother's house right there, paid for a bar. All they had to do was pay $200-something a month. Cursed ass Jake. Couldn't keep that up. Lost his damn house. You know, but the point is, we going into him for his devil into one for all things right now, because we're in the so-called white man's rule right now.
Who is Jake? We say Jacob.
Oh, that's short for Jacob.
Jacob.
Which is Jacob's name. That was his name. He was the son of Isaac, who was changed later. Name was later changed to Israel. Okay, he had 12 sons, which you see here today. Okay, so that's when we say Jake, that's what we're talking about. Pretty much how people say.
And in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
He put a yoke of iron upon their neck. And who did that happen to? That actually happened to our people. The so-called Negroes. They came over from cargo slave ships with yokes of iron. Chattel slavery, man. We actually had irons wrapped around our neck. And then when he finally conditioned our people to be homeborn slaves, he took them chains off. They still didn't run. Just like you do with a dog, man. You have a dog complete subjection. You take the chain off and open the door, that dog will stay right there. And that's 2/3 of our people here, man. That's why they're gonna have to die in this society. That's right. Because they're with their slave master. Okay, they're with Esau, man.
That's right. If I could add a point to that, in that time of slavery, like the brother's talking about, they used to force us to eat pork, eat swine. That would be the only thing they would give us, because they understood that we were the children of the Most High. And they understood that we don't eat that shit. We don't eat stuff like that. Crab, shrimp, we don't eat that. They're forcing that mess on us to continue to bring us to a lower state.
And Mexican, that's like their favorite.
Not to cut you off, you got those Arabs, we'll call them Arabs over there in Guantanamo Bay, the Muslims. They don't eat pork either. Guess what they're feeding them over? Doing the same thing that they did to the so-called black man in slavery. Go ahead, I'm making a point.
No, I was going to tell you that most all the Mexicans, that's like their favorite meal, pork. That's all they eat.
Yeah, I'm
With hot with chile, that's all they eat.
There's going to be 12,000 of them.
But that's what happens to our people. Same with the so-called Negroes in the north, in the southern kingdom. Okay, they turn eating pork into a culture. And that's why you see on TV, everything has pork and bacon on it. Why? Because they know as a people, we're not supposed to be eating that. You know, that's why they're forcing down everybody's throat.
This is what you call Stockholm Syndrome. And this is the definition of Stockholm Syndrome. It's feelings of trust or affection felt in certain cases of kidnapping or hostage taking by a victim toward a captor. You know, and that's what you see a lot of our people have today, man. They have the Stockholm Syndrome, man. That's why we curse out the so-called white man for the atrocity that he did. You see our people, what do? They talk shit. You know, oh man, no, we're all good. You know, don't worry, man, that was in the past, man. We gotta accept him for who he is. Nah, man, it's because your oppressor done beat your ass for so long. You know, you got used to being around your oppressor. You don't want to have to change off your name. You know?
That's right. So he gave us his book, BS Christianity, which he only people allowed to only teach 3 sermons. You know, turn the other cheek, love thy master, and love turn the other cheek. And I forget the third one. You know, but that's what our people believe in now. Turn the other cheek. Okay, that don't mean just let some man just run over you. You know, we proud boys. We're not gonna let nobody come up and slap us and turn the other cheek. No, we're gonna die for you, man. If you initiate it. You know, that's not what that's talking about.
If I can make a point too, like that's why they didn't want us learning how to read during slavery either, man. Because they knew that we were the Israelites, man. They knew that if we had the ability to read, the main thing that we would have read was this Bible, man. And then we'd have woke up to who we were and we would have rebelled. That's why you had certain men in history, like Nat Turner, you know, once he discovered who he was like, man, fuck this. He went extreme, you know, he started killing Edomites, you know, so-called white people.
Now, he didn't have a full breakdown of it, but he read enough to know that these white motherfuckers, they fit the wicked. Like, they gotta go. You know what I'm saying? They fit the prophecy. Just like we fit the prophecy to what happened to the children of Israel, the so-called white man fits the prophecy what happens to the wicked and what the wicked is gonna do, you know? We're gonna switch gears a little bit because we've been talking about how we catching hell and all this. Well, we're gonna get into the reason why we catching hell. Who's the person that's caused all this hell right now? Job 9:24.
Job 9:24.
Yeah, Proverbs.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
Right, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked, man. Okay, and that's the time we're in right now. The wicked is ruling the earth right now. Go ahead.
He covered the faces of the judges thereof.
Right, he covered the faces of the judges thereof, man. And so you have now when you go to a courtroom, who are most of the judges? So-called white people. Judges are people that actually rule and make decisions. We're actually the real judges of the earth. Okay, and when we get set up back in our kingdom, when the Lord comes back, we gonna judge the earth in righteousness, and we gonna make the decision and call the shots under rule of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. But right now, the devil is ruling right now. Okay, when that word devil means in Latin diablo, which means deceiver. It's not some red guy in a damn jumpsuit, red jumpsuit down there poking at you, catching hell. You know, bringing all the time of torment. No, it's a so-called white man with a damn suit walking around making decisions right now. Okay? Making all these unrighteous decrees going on. Gays, lesbians can get married. Homosexuals can adopt children. Okay? They're pushing this adultery strong. They call it dating. No, it's adultery. Everybody's slipping around because they're allowing these women to be loose. Okay? The woman's supposed to have one man. One woman's supposed to have one man in her life. She's not supposed to have 100 to 200 penises going up in her, man. That's why she got a disease and she stinks the way she do. Because all this wickedness is going on. And right now, who was the chief judge that he covered the face of? Over there, Caesar Borgia, son?
I think so.
Yeah, it's our Lord Yahushua. Now, we don't actually worship this image like some assholes will put out. This is just how the Lord would look according to the scriptures if he came back. That's right. But this isn't the image that we worship. Okay, because according to Revelation 1:13, this is how he will look. But this is the chief judge whose face they covered with a term called iconoclasm. When they whitewashed it. It's a term called whitewashing. That's why over in Europe they did a lot of those, when we were ruling in the time of the Dark Ages, okay, they whitewashed a lot of those artifacts that we had, as far as pictures on the cave walls and things of that nature. Okay, but they did that here, put up the Caesar Borgia.
I get it for you real quick.
All right, go ahead, bro.
This is First Maccabees 3:49. Salakia 3 and 48, it says, and laid open the book of the law.
They'd open the book of the law, which is what? Scriptures. Right?
Wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
What they did was all the renowned men that in this Bible, they painted him in the likeness of their image. So now when you remember that old movie 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston? It's before your time. I don't know if you caught it or read one or something like that, but he was playing Moses. Charlton Heston, the so-called white man. Passion of the Christ, another so-called white man. You know, the Prince of Egypt. Okay, so-called white man. They had Moses painted on. So whenever they make movies, what's that? Exodus, got it. The movie Noah, Exodus, those movies that just recently came out the last couple of years, they're all played by so-called white men. But at that time, the Egyptians were dark-skinned, and so were the Israelites, right?
And then they be saying, well, the color don't matter, the color don't matter. I'd be like, well, it shows you the Bible tells you.
Exactly, there's color all through the Bible, man.
If it didn't matter, they wouldn't put it in the Bible.
Exactly.
In Egypt, it's hot as hell. Wasn't no suntan lotion back then. Edomites wouldn't have made it in Egypt like that.
I know, man.
In Libya like that.
Terrible dude.
Right? I mean, I'm saying that kind of facetiously. But the brother's right. They playing every person on earth except who they really are. You never see them on TV saying they the Edomites. Right. They call themselves Romans. But see, in the time of Romans, they knew that they would call themselves Edom, Idumea, and all that, but not on the same level as they would call themselves Romans. But see, it just kind of faded away. So like,
then they wouldn't call themselves Edom Rome, so knowing that they're actually the real Edomites. You know?
If there was a nation of aliens that came, right, and they was living here for 10 years, and they wanted to make a movie about them, guess who would play them? You see Christian Bale, he the head alien. Right? Tom Hanks, he the second in charge. That's how it would be.
Even that homo, Paul Mooney said that. They play everybody. They gonna make a movie called Last Nigga on Earth, and it's gonna be starring Tom Hanks.
Yeah, you know? On the beach. Instead of volleyball, basketball.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If he was here another 150 years, Michael Jordan would be a so-called white man, you know? That's how they do, because they
saying that because in the movie, it's a movie called Hot Tub Time Machine. They went back in time and they had Michael Jordan as a white man.
Wow.
So they already doing it. It's just in their spirit, man.
That's crazy.
Even with Michael Jackson, man. I mean, you see what they did to him. You know, they completely destroyed his image, whereas in history that's not going to happen. But if they think in the near future, you know, the new generation comes up, they see pictures of Michael Jackson, they won't think he's a white man.
Right.
You know?
That's true.
That's right, man. They got even their own people turn themselves white now. Why? Because that Stockholm Syndrome worshiping this devil, man.
I'm going to read it again. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?
Right, that's a rhetorical question, man. So when you look at all the things that's going on in the world, and then when you read the scriptures, if this man that's ruling the world right now ain't the devil, then who is? If he's not the wicked, who is? You know what I'm saying? Even when and then if you think the so-called white man now running the world, you under a rock somewhere. Okay, because America's the only place that has embassies in damn near every country, occupying their territory, man. Okay, when you fly, the language for aviation is English. Okay? Well, English is a lot of the second language in a lot of countries, man, because the so-called white man's ruling right now. Go ahead.
Now my days are swifter than a post.
Now my days are swifter than a post, meaning we die early, man. Catching hell on this devil, man. All this wickedness. The men are losing their life at 40, 42. Nate Dogg died at 40-something. Kimbo Slice just died yesterday at 42. Yep. The nigga woman, because she the so-called white man's road dog, she lived to be a damn near 100 and shit. You know, but our men, the men of our nation, they're dying early, man, because they're catching hell under this devil, man.
That's right, brother.
And also because we went off, but also under the rulership of this devil, man. Go ahead.
It says, they flee away, they see no good.
Right, and there's no good here, man, which was going back to, we was talking about the birthday. It's the reason why you should celebrate your birthday. There's nothing good here for our people. This society is totally set up against our spirit and against our way of life. Okay, our hell is the white man's heaven right now. That's why they're living up, because we're on the bottom right now. But it's gonna come a time to where the roles are gonna be reversed and the rightful rules are gonna be set up.
That's right.
Okay? Give me that Proverbs.
This is Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Let me ask y'all, are the people rejoicing right now? All you hear all day, even social media, we talk about somebody got something to complain about. There's always somebody car messed up, somebody done ran out of gas, somebody check didn't come, somebody's lights got turned off. You know,
somebody's son or daughter just told them that they gay.
Yeah. Same thing, you know. Somebody woman just said they cheating on her. Now sometimes she get her ass judged, that's a good thing, man.
That's right.
You know, but things like that happen day in and day out, man. Everybody's complaining all day.
Are you trying to push that bestiality bullshit?
Bestiality, man. Now you looking at a so-called white woman suck off a dog is a click away now.
Right.
Marrying dogs, man.
Yeah, marrying animals in some states now. You know, but people don't have a problem with that. Two scruffy ass men spooning.
Right.
You know, a lot of people don't have a problem with it.
But it's a problem if I have more than one woman, though.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Right.
And so that shows you how wicked the society is, man. Go ahead, bro.
But when the wicked bears rule, the people mourn.
The wicked bears rule, the people mourning right now. And who's, like I said, the so-called white man is ruling, so that qualifies him as the wicked because of all his policies and his way of life. Okay, somebody call me Sirach chapter 10 on that for me as well. Read that one more time. Hold on. Yeah.
This is Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
Right, so when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, man. And when King Solomon was ruling, he had 40 years of peace. Everybody was good. You know, there were no homeless people in the nation of Israel. Okay, even when you tilled your land, you would leave some for the people that may not have had homes or didn't have too much. You left food there for them. Versus here, homeless people get stepped on, downtrodden, man. They don't give a damn about homeless people. You know, they don't give a damn about the people, even the people that have something here. They don't give a shit about the people that's walking around here in America.
Shit, they don't give a damn about their soldiers.
Yep.
The scriptures talk about that a man of war, he's not supposed to suffer poverty.
That's right.